Tokyo, the largest city on Earth, was burned to the ground. Not once, multiple times. Fires, earthquakes, war. Entire districts erased over and over again. So how did this place become a megacity of 37 million people? To understand that, you have to start with one of the worst disasters in its history. The city was burning. Flames leapt from roof to roof across tightly packed wooden neighborhoods. Entire districts vanished beneath waves of fire. Smoke choked the streets as thousands fled across narrow bridges carrying whatever they could. For 3 days, the inferno consumed everything: homes, markets, temples, warehouses. By the time it ended in 1657, much of the city was gone. Over 100,000 people may have died. For most cities, that would have been the end. But not here, because this city was built to survive disaster. And this wasn't even the worst it would face. Today, that same place is Tokyo, a vast landscape of glass towers, neon lights, and endless motion. Bullet trains move through the city every few minutes. Millions pass through underground stations every day. Ancient temples stand quietly between skyscrapers. More than 37 million people now live here, the largest urban area in human history. But this wasn't supposed to happen, because this city wasn't even meant to exist. Nearly 2,000 years ago, this region looked nothing like modern Tokyo. It was swamp. Marshland stretched across the plains. Rivers cut slowly through dense vegetation. Seasonal floods made permanent settlement difficult. And yet, people came. Early communities from the Jomon period left behind tools and pottery along the shoreline. Later, farmers from the Yayoi culture cultivated rice in the fertile land nearby. But this wasn't a major center. Power was far to the west, in cities like Nara and Kyoto. This place was a remote frontier, until geography changed everything. Rivers crossed the region, connecting inland settlements to the sea. One of them, the Sumida River, became a vital route for trade and movement. Along its banks, small villages began to grow. One of them was called Edo. At first, it was nothing special: mud roads, wooden houses, fishing boats along the bay. But its location made it powerful, and in 1457, that potential was recognized. A fortress was built here, Edo Castle, and from that moment, everything started to change. Then came a man who would reshape Japan, Tokugawa Ieyasu. In 1590, he took control of eastern Japan and made an unexpected decision. Instead of ruling from Kyoto, he chose Edo. At the time, it was still a quiet, developing town, but Ieyasu saw what others didn't: space, resources, strategic position. And he was right, because just 10 years later, everything changed. In 1600, Japan's most decisive battle was fought, the Battle of Sekigahara. Thousands of samurai clashed in the fog, alliances shattered in a single afternoon. Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged as the absolute victor. In 1603, he became shogun, the ultimate military ruler of Japan. But he didn't move to the traditional capital of Kyoto. He didn't move to the cultural centers of the West. He stayed in the mud of Edo. And then he did something ingenious and incredibly cruel. Ieyasu implemented a system called Sankin Kotai. He forced every regional lord, his former enemies, to build a massive estate in Edo. Then he forced them to leave their families there as permanent hostages. Every year, hundreds of lords had to march across Japan with thousands of samurai, servants, and entire households. They all arrived in Edo, and they all needed to eat. They needed homes. They needed luxury. The swamp didn't just grow, it exploded. By forcing his enemies to live in his remote frontier, Ieyasu turned a military outpost into a forced labor construction site. To house 1 million people in a marshland, the shogun ordered a feat of engineering unseen in the 17th century. Hills were literally leveled. The earth from those hills was used to fill the marshes and push the shoreline of the bay back foot by foot.
Edo wasn't just built on the land, it was built out of the sea. This is why modern Tokyo feels so flat. It is a city built on the bones of mountains that were moved by hand. By 1700, this backwater had done the impossible. It had surpassed London, it had surpassed Paris. Edo was now the largest city on the face of the earth. Regional lords were forced to live in Edo for extended periods. Every year, massive processions entered the city, samurai, servants, entire households. The population surged, markets expanded, roads connected the country, canals controlled flooding and transported goods. Land was reshaped, marshes filled, coastlines pushed outward. Entire sections of modern Tokyo didn't exist before this period. By the mid-1600s, Edo had reached nearly 1 million people. It wasn't just growing, it had become the largest city in the world. But there was a problem. A city built from wood burns easily.
And in 1657, it did. The Great Fire of Megacity. 3 days of destruction. Entire districts erased. But instead of collapsing, the city adapted. Wider streets, fire breaks, better planning. Edo didn't just rebuild, it improved. For the next 2 centuries, the city thrived. Markets buzzed with trade. Artists created vivid woodblock prints. Theater districts flourished. Edo became the cultural heart of Japan. But beyond its borders, the world was changing, and that change was coming fast. In 1853, American warships entered Edo Bay, led by Commodore Matthew Perry. They weren't there to negotiate. They were there to force Japan open, and they succeeded. Within years, the entire political system collapsed. In 1868, the Tokugawa government fell. Edo was renamed Tokyo, Eastern Capital. The emperor moved here, and Japan began transforming at incredible speed. Railways, industry, modern infrastructure. Tokyo became the center of it all. But disaster wasn't finished. In 1923, a massive earthquake destroyed large parts of the city. Over 100,000 people died. Then, in 1945, during World War II, firebombing raids turned Tokyo into an inferno once again. Entire neighborhoods vanished. The city was reduced to ruins again. And yet, it rebuilt, stronger, faster, bigger. Post-war growth transformed Tokyo into a global powerhouse. Highways stretched across the city. Bullet trains connected distant regions. Skyscrapers rose above ancient streets. Today, over 37 million people live here, the largest urban area in human history. Built on land that was once swamp and rebuilt after destruction again and again. Because Tokyo isn't just a city, it's the result of centuries of resilience, layer by layer, disaster after disaster, rebuilt into something almost unimaginable. And its story is still being written.